Joining me today is Dr. Fitness, Dr. Karl Smith, representative of Cortland, a major developer of apartment projects around the country. Karl has a doctorate in health education and a master's in exercise science and promotion and other, he's a Fitwell ambassador too. So Karl really knows the health and wellness area, and he's an expert in fitness centers. And that's what we're going to talk about, fitness centers for multifamily, mostly rental projects and condominiums too. So welcome, Karl. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Robert.
Okay. So Karl, we've had some big changes in apartment buildings due to COVID. How has that affected the fitness center component of Cortland and other apartment projects?
Yeah, so the initial first big change was just space planning, making sure that equipment was properly spaced out so people feel comfortable utilizing our fitness centers.
Right.
So that was the initial change.
Right. And we saw all the sterilization bottles and all the cleanliness stuff and everything like that. But exactly. Did you experience fewer tenants using the centers as well?
Initially, yeah. During the first year, we actually closed down, as did everyone else. But once we opened back up, there were less people than usual. But the number of people that actually used the gym were those who were probably more likely to use the gym prior to the COVID epidemic.
Uh-huh. Okay.
What I mean by that is that we have, in most of our communities, 75% of our residents say that they want to use our fitness centers. But what we actually see is more like 10% of our residents that actually use fitness centers. So from those 10%, they're going to use it because either they do not have a membership anywhere else, or they're new to fitness, or they fall into a group of people that just want the basics.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking for, a full-time trainer. They're not looking for a lot of space to do a lot of exercise, etc. So
stretching,
exactly,
a little muscle toning.
Yes.
Running.
So those people came back.
Okay. All right. Good. But there was also a shift in what I call the Peloton Effect. There was a lot, and I think you used the term functional fitness space. Could you talk about that, Karl?
Yeah. So the Peloton Effect is interesting. So they've created there's two things that they brought to the table. One was the home workout experience, being able to work out in your home, and then the gamification of working out. So that introduced fitness to a new demographic of people. So, as every generation comes up, there's something unique about them. And Gen Z and millennials are very much so into gamification of fitness. They want to not just work out, but they want to have fun while they're working out.
Gamification.
Yeah.
I mean, they grew up on video games, and they want some sort of virtual experience going on with that, don't they?
Exactly. And they want to tell their friends about it, so they want to be able to do the thing that's popular. So Peloton, for example, is extremely popular. Then some competitors such as Echelon or Averon rowers, which are also very popular. They have found ways to gamify very commonly used exercise pieces of equipment. So the rower for Averon, the bike for Peloton, of course, and their competitor Echelon and other people in that space have made fitness not only accessible but fun. It's now it's something that you can get a badge for completing, etc. So that's the education aspect, and that's the Peloton effect. But then you have
people like getting that badge, or my son's works out at the Y, and he's got a T-shirt that says he did 35,000 something or others. I don't know what he did. What's Mirror, Karl? What is that? Is that another player in this?
Exactly. So Mirror is another way that they've gamified. So there's a couple of players in the Mirror space. So you have Mirror, you have the tonal version, which has not motorized, but arms attached to it where you can actually lift weights. You have the Echelon Reflect in that space as well. And what is giving you a personalized workout experience. So you have a screen in front of you that mirrors you. So you can see yourself working out while you see workout ideas and workouts generated specifically for you and your unique needs. And they're showing you how to do these exercises on a screen that's literally a mirror. That's very popular as well.
And have you at Cortland pretty shifted a lot to this kind of culture, if you will?
Yes, we have. So we have to keep up with what our residents are looking for.
Mm-hmm. And I heard, if I remember correctly, about a year, or maybe it's a year and a half now, Peloton stopped allowing apartment operators to have to buy their equipment. And it was just before their IPO, and I had a lot of my readers and audience members saying, "Oh, what are they doing to us here?" So have you found others like Echelon and so forth to replace that?
Yeah. So Echelon, for example, they came in just as Peloton was getting out, conveniently. So no change in that service offering. However, Peloton, after they acquired Precor most recently, they now have a commercial version of their bike that they have been able to roll out in the multifamily space as well as commercial fitness spaces. So you're seeing more Pelotons back in the multifamily space.
So that's called Precor?
Precor, yeah. So they purchased Precor, I believe, last year.
Okay, good. All right. One of the other things we've heard about, Karl, and that some other developers we're seeing in certain geographic areas and in certain markets, kind of opening up the building and opening up the fitness center to be indoor, outdoor. Have you experienced, are you doing that much at Cortland, or is that, what's happening with that?
Yeah, it's a regional thing, so we're doing it everywhere. We're doing it where it makes sense, so places where we can see, we can have good weather for most. But even when we're looking at good weather, we have to look at bugs and other things that may, pests and so forth, that may come in during the good weather time of year. So for example, in Florida, we're not putting many in Florida because of the high influx of bugs as well as iguanas. So we want
to mention the occasional alligator, maybe, who knows?
There you go. Exactly.
All right, so, interesting.
In certain parts of Texas, we are installing them. Certain parts of Colorado, where indoor outdoor activities are people are accustomed to being able to work out outside as much as possible. And they're not as afraid of having whether the temperature drop down to 50, 40 degrees and still be outside, so we'll have those garage door scenarios in those locations.
Right. Yeah. Well, people in Texas think that, 50 degrees is freezing, but one of the big, where's the best, if you were building new, what do you advise your colleagues at Cortland, and what would you say to others as where's the best place within the complex to have the fitness center?
Yeah. So the number one best place is going to be as close to the leasing office as possible. If it can be a office, that's even better, because
say it again. As close to the leasing place as possible. And what was the second
one? Or if it can be attached to the office.
Wow.
Yeah. The reason why is that the fitness center is a marketing tool. And when you take a prospect on a tour, you want to have your tour, you want all of your high-end amenities to be as close as possible to the leasing office, so that they can have that memorable effect as soon as they come back to the desk to actually the lease. Right. So you want them to make that commitment immediately, and you want them to be able to see everything within a short period of time without having to drive too far away. If it's inclement weather, you want to be able to just walk in and out and show them what they need to see immediately.
Right. So that would apply to things like the fire pit, and of course the swimming pool and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And hopefully the pickleball court. I'm always pushing for that too.
Yes.
Karl, what are a lot of my audience are not only building new, but they're owners and operators of huge assets under management, tens of thousands of units for some of them, and some of these are aging and are being renovated. What's your advice for taking probably something that's 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 years old fitness center and bringing it up to speed today? What factors do you want to look for when you're doing that? How do you do that best?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I look at is is there a, a room where we can identify as a group fitness room? Is there something there today that's currently a group fitness room? And if there is, I would get rid of it. And the reason why is that the group fitness space is great for classes, but chances are you're going to have, let's say at the most, one class a day. So you have an hour where that room is being occupied, and then you have 23 hours where it's not being occupied. And the reason why it's not being occupied, even if you have Fitness on Demand or Wexer or Wellbeats, the reason why it's not being occupied is that people don't often feel comfortable walking into a space that has one entry point, one exit point. The room is usually quiet. It can often be well lit, but it's not really the most inviting space for more than one user at a time.
Yeah.
Even if you had a Fitness on Demand system or a Wexer or a Wellbeats. So I would take those walls down. That's the first thing that I usually do when I look at a new rental project. How can we open this space up to allow it to be utilized throughout more times of the day than just for one class? So classes are important, but there has to be a way for us to have a more hybrid environment. So we take the wall down and we usually turf it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Turfing allows for you to program the space without actually having any programming in the space, because you aren't having any equipment in the space. So usually when you walk into a fitness center, you have strength equipment, selectorized pieces, treadmills, other cardio pieces, etc. With a turf environment, you don't need any equipment because it automatically says you're doing functional activities on this space. So it allows you to do classes. It also allows someone to walk in without having much knowledge or expertise in fitness and still be able to utilize the accessories, such as the medicine balls, stability balls, any other piece of equipment, as well as dumbbells, etc. So that's the second thing that I do.
So to reiterate, so turf is the new flooring material in this kind of setting, huh? Replacing resilient or rubberized flooring or hardwood flooring or anything like that. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, for the group fitness space. Yes, we get rid of that and we go with turf.
And then you've got your, I guess you call them functional rigs set up, and which is kind of like here's your equipment for doing this exercise and so forth, exactly. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess one of the questions is, how do you deal with that for a mix of users, from beginners to mid to really advanced gals that are pumping like crazy and so forth? How do you deal with that?
So we don't.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we cater to a small percentage of the population. We don't cater to all of our residents because 25% of our residents are already going to have gym memberships somewhere else if they're already active. So they're going to have a gym membership somewhere else. Another 25% of our residents will not care about fitness at all. Mm-hmm. Okay, then you're going to have 50% of our residents who care, and that's going to be our sweet spot right there. Those are going to be residents that we can cater to. And chances are they're not going to be heavy lifters. They're not going to be extremely active already. They'll be active, but they're still going to ask for, they're going to ask questions about how to work out. They're going to be novice lifters, etc. So with that, we have the opportunity to teach by providing trainers on site, as well as providing signage and Fitness on Demand or Wexer or Wellbeats, like I mentioned previously. They also have content that they can utilize to help them through workouts, but it's geared for that novice entry level exerciser. So
yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I know one of the jokes about some of the commercial fitness centers is that the goal is to sign up as many people as possible and hope that none of them show up because they're just making money for doing nothing.
But there's a reason behind that. If we at our gym, if 75% of our residents said they are interested in, which is true. So right now, 75% of our residents say they're interested in going to a gym. They want a gym at their fitness, at their community. But only about 10% of our residents actually utilize our fitness centers, 25% at max. Now, if we had 75% of our residents actually at our fitness centers, we would have to change our equipment out more frequently. Their fitness centers will be dirty. There will be no equipment available for residents when they want to use the equipment. So of course, we would have to have bigger fitness centers, which would expand our budgets. It'll be more difficult for us to manage all of our equipment and maintain it. So we're still following the same model that the big fitness centers use as well. We market our service, but we're not expecting the usage. Get that benefit, that social reality benefit of actually having something that people want, but they don't really use.
Yeah. A couple of more questions. Do you find it necessary to have full-time staff or even part-time staff in your centers? I mean, are there other Karl Smiths at every one of your apartment complexes at Cortland?
Yeah. So one cool thing about the way that we design our fitness centers is that we use selectorized equipment often, as opposed to mostly free weights. All right. So by selectorized, I mean just strength equipment. So strength machines are what we call selectorized. We have dumbbells, but they max out at 60 pounds. We don't have bars. So by doing that, it decreases the need for us to have attendants on site, because the odds of a resident getting injured by utilizing our equipment is less. So instead of having a squat rack with an Olympic bar, we'll have a Smith machine. So there's safety always built into everything we're doing. So again, that decreases the need for an attendant. So to answer your question, no, we don't have attendants, but we do have our on-site teams. At every on-site team, there's one individual that's a wellness champion that is familiar with how the gym works in case residents have questions. And we also have a staff member that's a part-time staff member through our partnerships with Valley Living, where they actually have a trainer on site. So that can help residents when they're available, when they're on site, which is probably about an hour or maybe 2 hours for 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. All right, Karl, I'm going to ask you what's known as the Rob Cassidy question at the end of every one of these sessions. I always ask, what's the one piece of advice you would give to other folks out there who are doing your kind of job or who are in this field? What have you learned? What's the mistake that gets made all the time? How do you resolve that? What's your best piece of advice to the fitness center world out there?
Yeah, really identify who your target market is. I think that the problem that we have in the fitness center space is that we try to solve the problems for everyone, and we can't. There's no way that someone who's been lifting for 20 plus years can lift every single weight in the gym is going to work out in the same location that someone has just started working out at. And the same thing goes for that person. That person is not going to be interested in going to a gym where they feel inadequate. You have to identify who is the person that you're actually building this fitness center for. Have that person in mind every time you build your fitness center.
Good. Okay. After this session, I'm going to go run around the block a couple of times, and I'll be refereeing some soccer games on Saturday and high school games next week, and hope that will keep me in some sort of respectable shape for an old man. With me today, it has been Dr. Karl Smith, the Director of Resident Experience at Cortland, a major developer and owner of apartment projects all around the country.